I hired this coach, a physical trainer, like a couple years ago. And when I hired this trainer, I had absolute dad bod. I mean, I didn't look that great. I was strong. I was stronger than many people in the gym. But I didn't really look it. I didn't really look the part. My body's testosterone, my body's natural hormones were not in balance. And I had a big gut because of what I was eating, what I was drinking, how I was being stressed, and et cetera, some stuff like that. And I hired this guy. I pay him a lot of money, like a really decent amount of money, which I wanted him to help me get rid of this belly since I was working out a lot. And he gave me tons of things to do. He gave me a whole list of things, what to eat, macros, your protein, your carbs and your fats, and when to eat, how many meals to eat. He gave me a lot. He walk every day, get your 10,000 steps in, get your blood work done so I can look at your blood work and I can basically tell you what else you need to eat to be able to optimize your hormones to be able to benefit you a lot better. And at the time I was very sluggish. I remember when I hired him, I remember trying to get out of bed, like literally trying to get out of bed. And I couldn't like lean forward all the way because my gut was too big. So I couldn't really lean forward all the way. And I thought, man, I'm not old enough to feel the way that I feel. And that's why I was like, I'm going to pay him the money. Right. So I did that. And I didn't listen to everything. So I've always been afraid of needles. And so when he said, get your blood work checked, I avoided that. He told me you could eat 3 Brazil nuts and that will help you with selenium, which basically in turn helps your body's own hormones to be able to produce more testosterone. So you're in a more of an anabolic state, which basically means that you burn more fat and you build more muscle. And I was like, well, what else? I'm eating these 3 Brazil nuts every morning, like you told me. What else? And he kept saying, I can't tell you until you do your blood work. I avoided it for a long, long time. Another thing that I avoided that he told me to do was to go to do my 10,000 steps. I thought it was effing ridiculous. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that takes hours, that takes like probably 2 hours to be able to walk 10,000 steps. So if I want to go from walking like 3-ish thousand steps to walking 10-ish thousand steps, I've got that additional 7,000 steps. And it's basically 2,000 steps per mile, just so you are aware. It's about 2,000 steps per mile. And for most of us, it's going to take about a half an hour to do a mile because we're basically walking about 2 to 3 miles per hour. So it's going to take about 20, 30, 40 minutes to walk a mile. So let's just say a half an hour. And so to think that I've got to do 7,000 divided by 2 is 3.5, right? 3.5 sets of half an hour. So that is basically at least an hour and up to a little over 2 hours. I thought this is crazy. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to run instead, or I'm going to ride my bike instead. And I thought it was interesting because I was trying to burn the same amount of calories that he told me to do. But the problem was that if we go back to another episode that we talked about where there's a difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic, the sympathetic is fight or flight response. So when we do a HIIT exercise, now it's not to mean that you should never do a high intensity interval training. It's not to say that. It's just to say that we should know and understand when we're running, we are stressing our body. Now, if you're doing that at a short burst, not too bad. But if you're trying to do all of your calories that you burn, if you're trying to do all of that with running and active exercise, and you're basically in a sympathetic place, your body's going to be in fight or flight. And essentially, one of the things that happens is you increase your cortisol. When you increase your cortisol, you're basically telling your body, he might die or she might die. And I've got to protect him. I've got to protect her. And so basically what it does is it turns off your testosterone, which men and women both need. It turns off your testosterone and it increases your cortisol, because you can either really have cortisol and testosterone are going to be balanced somehow. So think of that as a teeter-totter. You've got them in the middle. They're both equal. If you increase cortisol, testosterone has to go down. If you increase testosterone, cortisol has to come down.